Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing rebound relationship experience over time. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing rebound relationship experience over time. So if you have gone through a breakup, it can often feel concerning if you hear that your ex has gotten into a new relationship. But what type of relationship is this? In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 elements of a rebound relationship over time. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is excitement and adventure. So the definition of a rebound relationship can somewhat differ depending on who you ask. What I would say is that a rebound relationship is something which ticks a certain amount of specific boxes. The main one of which is that this new relationship has begun very soon after a prior relationship ended. Now, how long is soon? Well, I would say within months, certainly days or weeks, but also within months. If your ex gets into a new relationship after a number of months after your breakup, I would say that this is a red flag. We are ticking a box, we're checking a box here of what could be defined as a rebound relationship. So if we are to say that your ex has got into a rebound, if you had a breakup, a few months later they get into a new connection, you hear about this, somebody tells you, hey, look, your ex, they're with somebody new, they're not just dating, we're in a new relationship. Okay, if we're going to look at this as a main reason to believe this could be what we define as a rebound relationship, then we have to consider what your ex is likely experiencing at this moment. And initially, unfortunately for you to hear, it is likely to be excitement and adventure. Now, don't worry, if you're thinking, look, this is not what I want to hear, then please keep listening, because it is not all sunshine and rainbows for your ex who is getting into a new relationship soon after a breakup. So please keep listening so you can hear my thoughts of how this develops over time. But right now we have to be honest with ourselves, and the likelihood is, initially at least, they're going to be feeling excitement and adventure. And this is because we're meeting somebody new after the stress of the breakup. Now, the likelihood is, if you're listening, that I would suggest that you're probably the dumpee, and therefore your ex was the dumper. And even though they would have made that decision to end your relationship, it doesn't mean it was stress-free. It's very unlikely that they wanted to cause you any type of pain, and it is very likely that they realise that they probably have. The stress of a breakup hits the dumper and the dumpee. Of course, if you are a dumpee, you're going to be going through a greater volume of stress and pain because you didn't want this to end and your ex made that decision. But it doesn't mean the dumper doesn't go through their own stresses. Now, if you are a dumper listening, then you're probably thinking, well, I've ended this relationship. I've probably now come to a conclusion it was a wrong decision, but I've now heard my ex, my dumpee, is with somebody new, and now you are feeling regret. Okay, so it doesn't matter what perspective you're listening to this podcast in. You're probably feeling that concern that your ex is now dating somebody new. And whether they are a dumpee or a dumper, this is going to feel like an adventure. It's going to feel positive. It's going to feel fresh and new after the stresses and upsetting moments that the breakup likely gave to each of you. You both felt the stress and pain from different perspectives, but unfortunately, it was negative for both of you. So, when we look at the situation, we have to consider that right now, anything new, fresh and exciting is going to be a positive compared to a breakup. That is just the reality. So your ex right now has met somebody new. They're not bringing any drama to their door. Certainly not right now. At the moment, it is the honeymoon period of a new connection. So both people are trying to showcase their best traits, they're very unlikely to be relaxing too much into presenting themselves in a more realistic way. You could say that they are behaving in an almost unrealistic and impossible to continue perspective because they don't want to make any mistakes. They're showing their best face in a physical, mental, and any other way you can describe. When you first meet somebody, you're absolutely trying to be your best 24/7. When you get together and things become more serious, is a way we could describe it, then you will likely let your guard down more and be your true self. But during the honeymoon period, both people will be acting their best, really self-conscious of every element that they're bringing to this connection. And therefore, it seems like you've met the perfect person. And they are probably going to be thinking the same. So if you're listening to this and you don't want your ex to be enjoying a relationship with somebody new, like I said, please keep listening. But initially, at least, the excitement and the buzz that somebody will feel after a breakup when they meet somebody new who's not bringing drama and negativity is going to be an overwhelming feeling. It's going to be a feeling of positivity. I've gone through all of this pain and upset and stress, and now this new person is relaxed, happy, carefree, and fun. That is what is likely to happen initially in a rebound relationship. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about rebound relationship experience over time. And point number 2 is missing past features. So just because your relationship ended, it doesn't mean that your ex didn't enjoy every aspect of your relationship. Even if they are the dumper, they ended the relationship, they are still likely to miss certain parts and elements of your connection. And this is where people in a rebound relationship will often start to speed things along to bring some of those elements into their new connection. So let's just give a classic example, and that is living together. Maybe it took you and your ex near on a year or so to live together. Maybe longer, maybe shorter, but it is likely to have been a good number of months, if not over a year, before you lived together. So what happens right now if your ex is in a rebound? Well, you might find out that they are living together very, very quickly, in a matter of weeks or in a few months. And this can really freak you out. You might be thinking, well, this is so unfair. When I was with my ex, it took such a long time before they felt comfortable enough to want to live together. And now you're telling me that they've met somebody new and within a few weeks, a couple of months, they're living together. This is so unfair. But this is a classic red flag of a rebound relationship. Missing past features means that the person in a rebound is likely to want to bring those features into their new present connection. They're not thinking straight. They're not thinking in a logical way, but they don't really know this new person yet. Instead, they're just thinking, I want to get to where I was in my prior relationship. I enjoyed that aspect. I want this aspect again. So let's just move in together. What the hell? Let's just move in together. It will be absolutely fine. Well, as you probably would think and realize, moving in together with somebody you don't know too well is not likely to give you the long-term satisfaction that you are probably hoping for at this moment. So you might already start to see where your ex going for a rebound could be starting to trip up. Now, if you would like support through breakup recovery, if you want to increase the chance of trying to get your ex back, if you want to try and meet somebody even better, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique, specific situation. If you would like more details on my audio coaching, please go to my website, www.dateme.tips, for more details of how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about rebound relationship experience over time. And point number 3 is realization. So the realization moment is when the person in the rebound, or both people, shall we say, realize that there isn't the long-term possibility between them that they actually hoped initially. And of course, this isn't really a surprise. It's very, very difficult to find a long-term compatible partner to move forward with, which is why I always say, if you find out that your ex has met somebody new soon after your breakup, try not to worry. Now, of course, There is no guaranteed way of knowing definitely exactly what is going to happen, and sometimes, very occasionally, a rebound can develop into something more serious and substantial, but most of the time, two people in a rebound going through a relationship too quickly will realise they are not long-term compatible, because it's so hard to find somebody long-term compatible. Most people are single for more than a year, if not 2-3 years, in between relationships. Not necessarily because they're not looking, but because it's hard to find a compatible partner in the long term. So what is the likelihood, what are the odds that your ex would find somebody so soon after their previous long-term connection that works out to be an even longer relationship? The odds are very, very small. They are minute. It is not likely. And therefore we get this moment of realization where both people in this rebound relationship realize that it's not actually going to work out. They are no longer in the honeymoon period. They are no longer putting their best foot forward. They are no longer behaving in a way which is absolutely perfect acting. Instead, they've relaxed. Instead, they're showing their true colours. And instead, they're starting to show that they don't actually work out very well. So why did this actually happen? Well, if you go through a relationship as quickly as people in a rebound, what actually happens is, instead of getting to know each other and then deciding if you want to move in together, instead of that, you're actually moving in together and then getting to know each other on the job. You're getting to know each other during the relationship rather than before the relationship becomes too serious. And this often is a recipe for disaster. So if you think that your ex is in a rebound relationship, if you hear that your ex is dating somebody new soon after your breakup took place, a matter of days, weeks, or even months afterwards, this is not likely to last the test of time. So what do you do if you want to try to get your ex back? Well, you need to concentrate on living your life to the full. You need to be in the best possible position if and when your ex is single again. You can't contact your ex and say, hey, look, you're in a rebound. Just stop messing about. This isn't going to work out. Come back to me. That is not going to work. You've got to let them live this relationship through. You've got to let them realize that this is not likely to work out. And if and when they become single, that is when you can see if there's a possibility of reconnecting. And depending on your position, if you're the dumper, I would suggest reaching out if they're single. If you're the dumpy, I would say in most instances, you should never contact your ex again unless they contact you first. But you can't do this when they're in a relationship. You can't try and persuade them out of it because they won't appreciate this. You've got to let this fizzle out naturally. And as I said, we have to be honest and genuine and realize not every rebound relationship will. A very small minority of rebound relationships do actually become more substantial. And unfortunately, if you want to try to get your ex back, we have to accept that very few of these relationships will actually become longer term. But even if they do, it doesn't mean it's going to last forever. I mean, unfortunately, you and your ex didn't last forever. So why would this person and your ex last any longer? It might go a bit longer term than a classic rebound would, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's forever. Now, I know right now you're just thinking about your ex, you're thinking that you can't find anybody better, but let me tell you, you absolutely can. You are not defined by your ex. Your ex does not represent your happiness. And if you live your life the right way, if you grow every single day, if you become a better person today than you were yesterday, a better person tomorrow than you are currently today, then you will become a version 2.0 of yourself. Grow your attraction net and enable yourself to attract somebody even better than your ex. So whether or not you get your ex back, you'll be absolutely fine. It's win-win. You either get them back or you can find somebody even better. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.